Imagine a world on the brink. The United States and China, the two largest powers on Earth, colliding not in the Pacific, not over Taiwan, not in the South China Sea, but in a place many would least expect. Venezuela, a country rich in oil, broken by sanctions, and trapped between empires. This isn't just about barrels of crude, it's about geopolitical survival, global dominance, and the fight for the 21st century. What happens if China and the U.S. clash directly in Latin America, Washington's own backyard? Could Venezuela become the spark for the most dangerous confrontation of our time? This is the story the mainstream media whispers about but never fully tells. The shadow war for Venezuela's oil. Why Venezuela matters. For decades, Venezuela has been a paradox, sitting on the world's largest proven oil reserves, more than Saudi Arabia, yet suffering from poverty, hyperinflation, and political turmoil. The U.S. once dominated Venezuela's oil industry, with American companies like ExxonMobil and Chevron deeply entrenched. But over the years, sanctions, political isolation, and the rise of socialist governments under Hugo Chavez and Nicolás Maduro shifted Venezuela toward new alliances. Enter China. While U.S. sanctions cut Venezuela off from global finance, China swooped in, offering loans, infrastructure deals, and a lifeline to Caracas. Billions of dollars flowed into Venezuela from Beijing, much of it repaid in crude oil shipments. In many ways, China became Venezuela's banker, partner, and protector. And that's where the trouble begins. The U.S. sanctions game. Washington has used sanctions as its weapon of choice. For years, the U.S. has tightened restrictions on Venezuela's oil exports, banking system, and even food and medicine imports. The stated goal: weaken Maduro, force regime change, and restore what Washington calls democracy. But sanctions didn't topple the government. Instead, they pushed Venezuela deeper into China's and Russia's arms. Beijing began buying discounted Venezuelan oil, bypassing sanctions through shadow fleets, ship-to-ship transfers, and rebranding crude shipments. To U.S. policymakers, this wasn't just a nuisance, it was a direct challenge to American power in the Western Hemisphere. Think about it. If China can openly defy U.S. sanctions in Latin America, what's to stop it from doing the same anywhere else? China's strategy. China's interest in Venezuela isn't just about cheap oil. It's about strategic positioning. Venezuela gives China energy security, reducing reliance on the Middle East and U.S. controlled sea lanes. It offers a diplomatic foothold in Latin America, traditionally dominated by Washington's Monroe Doctrine. It provides an economic partner in the global South, tied into China's Belt and Road Initiative. But perhaps most dangerously for Washington, China is building influence in America's own backyard. For decades, the U.S. has treated Latin America as its exclusive sphere of influence. To see China now financing, protecting, and empowering a government the U.S. wants to topple, that's nothing short of a direct provocation. The oil weapon. Oil isn't just fuel, it's leverage, currency, and power. Venezuela's reserves are so massive that control over them could reshape global energy markets. If China gains long-term access to Venezuelan oil, it can lock in energy security for decades, shield itself from U.S. economic pressure, and even manipulate supply chains in times of crisis. Meanwhile, Washington views Venezuela's oil as a card it must control or at least deny to its rivals. The idea of Chinese state-owned companies pumping Venezuelan crude, refining it, and shipping it across the Pacific horrifies American strategists. To put it bluntly, Venezuela's oil is becoming a geopolitical weapon. Could war break out? Let us be clear. No one expects U.S. Marines and Chinese troops to be battling in Caracas tomorrow. But the seeds of conflict are already there. Economic war, Sanctions, counter-sanctions, trade restrictions, and shadow fleets, diplomatic war, competing alliances, UN votes, and propaganda battles. Proxy war. If the U.S. backs opposition groups while China props up Maduro, Venezuela could become another Syria, a battleground for great powers. Military signals. U.S. Navy patrols in the Caribbean, Chinese investment in Venezuelan ports, and rumors of intelligence sharing agreements. This is how major wars start, not with a declaration, but with escalating moves, each side daring the other to blink. Historical echoes. This isn't the first time oil has sparked confrontation. Think about the U.S. Iraq wars, fueled in part by oil politics. Libya, where NATO intervened amid energy stakes. Iran, constantly under sanctions because of oil and geopolitics. Now Venezuela is the new frontline. The difference. This time the opponent isn't Iraq, Libya, or Iran, it's China. And that makes everything exponentially more dangerous. The global ripple effect. A U.S. China clash over Venezuela wouldn't just affect Caracas. It would shake global oil markets, driving prices through the roof, push Latin American countries to choose sides between Washington and Beijing, deepen the divide between the global North and global South, risk direct confrontation between U.S. and Chinese naval forces. And if things spiral out of control, Venezuela could become the spark that ignites the first true great power war of the 21st century. The future. Collapse or Cold War? The big question. Are we heading toward a hot war in Venezuela, or just a new Cold War standoff? Some argue the U.S. will never allow China to dominate oil production in its hemisphere. Others say Washington is overstretched and can risk direct confrontation. Still others believe Venezuela will use its position to play both sides, extracting concessions while clinging to power. One thing is clear. Venezuela's oil has become a global flashpoint. The world isn't asking if the U.S. and China will clash, it's asking where. And the answer may not be in Asia, it may be in Latin America. So, is war between the U.S. and China over Venezuela's oil inevitable? Or is this just another chapter in the long, dangerous game of sanctions, influence, and shadow wars? The only certainty is this. Venezuela's oil has turned a broken nation into the most dangerous chessboard in the world, and every move could push us closer to the brink.